Dr. B here. Please give it a listen, a watch. Fantastic Deals and Dreams pilot series. I interviewed a lot of folks in the real estate and or business world. I hope you enjoy this episode. Enjoy. Hi everybody, welcome to another edition of my podcast. As you guys know who I am, I'm Dr. B. I'm here with the great Fadi Habib. Fadi, how are you, man?
I'm good. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. Recording on a Monday in June, and it's gloomy here, but it's nice and bright in here. That's why I'm wearing red today.
Cool.
Awesome. Let's jump right into it, man. Tell everyone about yourself.
My name is Fadi Habib. I am the founder of Legacy Wealth Builder Academy. And I used to be in corporate for about 25 years, 30 years, worked in oil field, manufacturing, high tech. I used to work in BlackBerry. And all of my life, was very curious about wealth building because I knew from a long time ago that 9 to 5 will not just cut it. It's not a way to, it's a way to maybe pay some bills, but not to build wealth. So I used to go to the 9 to 5, which has never been 9 to 5 because usually they take much more than that. And then after that, on my own time, it was my intention to understand, learn how to build wealth, because that's what you need to do if your parents are not millionaires and they didn't really teach you that. You have to figure out yourself instead of just complaining about that you're not wealthy. So I started with real estate investing, did very well. And then 10, 15 years ago, I started with stocks. I thought that stocks, anybody who invests in stocks and options is not a responsible investor at some point. I thought that it's just gambling because everybody around me was losing money, and there was a reason for that. Um, but I discovered that there's a method, there's a way to do it responsibly without the get rich quick. So that's just a nutshell. Right now, I'm a part-time professor. I sometimes teach at some colleges and universities, but I don't have a 9 to 5. And I travel whenever kind of I want, and I take whatever I'm doing, like coaching and teaching, with me. So yeah, pretty happy. All good.
I love that, and we'll take a deep dive into what you're doing with your academy. So I'm excited about that. And like you, I don't have a 9 to 5 either, so we have that in common.
It's
So I love
freeing, right? It's beautiful, huh?
that's beautiful. Yeah, everybody's like rush in or rush hour. I'm like, yeah, I'm chilling. I'm
Mm.
here. Hey, so I'm big on education. I used to have my degrees behind me, and not because of ego, because I'm very big on that. But you went to the American University in Cairo, right? You got your degree in engineering. You also got your master's of engineering from the University of Toronto. I'm
Correct.
sure you did some other certifications as well. So how has that led to to your success or lay foundation, if anything?
So, education and certificates and all of this stuff can have a different effect of different people. Because I've seen some of the people, like for me, it helped me a lot in terms of structured thinking. So I'm an engineer, so I know how to solve a problem. However, there's a psychology part of it that has nothing to do with education. Like you can teach two doctors to be doctors, but one of them will do great in terms of being a pioneer in opening uh, health centers or opening hospitals or do great in research. And some of them will be just a technical doctor. He doesn't do anything other than just talking to patients in a way that has nothing to do other than the job of the 9 to 5. So for me, I think it helped me, uh, but I don't think that's the main factor. It's your hunger to do something more, because I also seen the same people like me who do nothing other than engineering. They cannot open their mind to anything. They think everything is risky. They're so risk averse, and I'm risk averse too. But they cannot escape the mental prison of no, 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 no. I don't know anything other than engineering. I have been trained in engineering. I can't do anything other than engineering. They can't even buy their own house because they think it's so risky. So I think it helped me a lot, but it's just one factor. Because here's the thing, though. I don't think even that this is the education is the main thing. Because some people without any education and they're so successful. Because really, the main point here um, is the action. It's not how much you're educated. Because some people who are okay to try things out and move ahead, even if they don't have the mental IQ of a PhD professor in engineering, they'll probably get more success because the whole formula is based on, like anything else, success is based on tied to action. It's not how smart you are. It's not how analytical you are. Actually, if I may think about it, the more analytical you are, the more like educated like me, you can go into analysis paralysis, which is basically I cannot move at all except when everything is perfect and there's no risk. And I, like, like in real estate, I've seen a lot of people who have a lot of education, some people that don't have any education at all. And the people who don't have any education, they are much more successful because they're jumping into the arena. They tried a few things, it didn't work, but they have this drive to do more versus somebody who's in front of their computer analyzing a real estate deal 2 months and with the objective of being a perfectionist, getting the best deal there is because he or she needs his money to work the best for them, and they end up doing nothing. So the person with not a lot of resources, they are resourceful but not a lot of resources, they do much better. So I guess I'm glad that my education was not a complete barrier for me because it can be a barrier, if it makes
Yeah,
any
I agree.
sense.
No, I agree 100%. For some, it could be detrimental, right? But in others, if
Yeah,
you have access to it, and I agree with you. It's not just a piece of paper. It's just like, all right, what do you do after, right? And how do you get back
exactly.
after that, right? So
Exactly.
I agree 100% with that. All right, you also you were the president in Sayun, North America until October 2024, and then you volunteered in the past for Plan Canada. I'm big on volunteering. I volunteered for boards for the past, 10, 15 years. I just accepted another board role. I don't know why, but I just did. But why volunteer? Why give back, in your opinion?
Um, Number one, because it feels good, because that's the selfish part of me. No, number two, you're contributing. So in volunteering, you're spending a lot of your time, energy, and getting $0 in return. So it's not about the money, of course, but it's good to give back. So in Sanyun took so much time. It's basically a cultural group whereby we were um, trying to promote secularism and separation of state and government, basically to make everything available for everybody and making sure that everybody lives in peace. So spending so much time on it, but I believed in the cause, in the fact that it will help people in all the cultural events that we did. Of course, it's a lot of fun when you do parties and you do social events and do webinars, and so it's nice, but you need to give back a little bit, not just because of the community, because you learn a lot from it. You create a lot of friendships, you understand people more, you feel you're doing something good, and that's important. And as well, it's very important because I think any human person needs this part of them to do something more than outside yourself, outside your circle, outside of you. So I'm not doing something, I'm definitely getting a lot out of it. Um, but I'm doing something for the greater good. And this is something that is very rewarding for you. I also did the Plan Canada, so that was at work, mobilized people um, to basically a lot of activities to make people donate for buying goats in people in Africa. And I do remember going out and saying, like, you know what, do we really need this $50? I said, remember, this is two goats. What are you talking about? Of course, we need the $50. And it was marvelous because we did so many things. I was working at BlackBerry at the time, and I convinced all the big managers there to come and take a pie in their face for people whoever will pay more. And it was a lot of fun. So there was a lot of, other than the money, I think we paid 5,000, we got collected $5,000 and BlackBerry matched that. So we paid 10,000. That was a lot of goats because it's really good for the community there because not only they can get the milk and drink, but it's also money. And it's great that you can actually help people that you don't even see, right? Very recently, I volunteered. I helped my son organize a TEDx event. So, and this is kind of a lifestyle that is really great because when you have a little bit of time, you can do stuff that you cannot do. So I helped my son. He applied. He's a high school kid, 17 years old. Took the initiative of applying for a license. Apparently, anybody can organize a TEDx event. Not you can just. It's not just being a speaker. I wasn't a speaker. I was an organizer, co-organizer with him, and he was the main boss of me. He enjoyed tremendously telling telling me no about anything I'm saying so that he can prove that he's the man. But and he is the man. And but it was great bonding with him, working with him to and training him as well to interview people. So he interviewed speakers, did a lot of application for speakers. He created a team for marketing, created a team for sponsorship, and it was a great event. It was beautiful. So I get a lot of why volunteer because I get a lot out of, and it's a great feeling to help others and work with others and feeling that your contribution to the community.
Yeah, same here, 100%. You can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can.
All right, making sure. I had so yes, yeah, definitely. It's a yeah for me. It's all about giving back to the community and also helping the right cause, and also at the same time, helping the folks on the board and vice versa. Almost like a servant leadership approach. So I agree with you
Yeah,
there. Yeah,
yeah.
man. Let's pivot. Let's talk why we're here, right? So tell us a little bit about Legacy Wealth Builder, the academy. Like, tell me the story, the backstory. How did it start, and when did it start, etc. So I would like to know about that.
Okay.
We want to know.
So again, long time ago, I think when I just started working, I uh, I always have been involved in high-paying jobs. So I have good education. I'm a good person. I work a lot. I put my heart into things. So I always had a high-paying job. However, I also had a problem. The problem is I'm always tight on money, and I didn't understand why. I did everything possible in terms of what they told me to do, being a good student, doing a master's. So I had good education. I work in multinational companies. I'm having a good job, but I can't go to trips, all the trips I want. I can't, like, I'm always on the brink of having debt because I don't know what's happening. It's just that it's just not enough. So that was the problem. And I didn't know what to do. Uh, and I read this book called Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki. Very important that anybody of your listeners to read it. It's a classic book. And it opened my mind that being an employee is just one way of doing money. One way. There's three more ways which are much better. Because when you're an E, you're spending your time and energy to make money for other people. And the other categories are very quickly the self-employed, a doctor opening his own clinic, a dentist opening her own practice, a carpenter opening his own shop. They're also, with the E, both of these categories trade their time with money, which is not really scalable because there's only whatever 8 hours, 9 hours in a day. There's X amount of patients the doctor can see, but that's it. They cannot see 30,000 people in a day. On the other side of the quadrant, there's the business owner, somebody who employs a lot of people, and he or she uses other people's time to make money. Okay, think of the owner of a 50 franchise of Tim Hortons or Starbucks. These guys make money because a lot of people are working for them, getting a salary. They're using the E. And then the best category is the I, which is the investor. He or she is using other people's times and money to make money for themselves. And the book talks a little bit about the fact that the E is the worst in terms of taxes, for example, because he or she gets taxed. They don't even see the money. They get the money before they give you what's left. Versus the other side, you can write off a lot of things. So two people, a doctor with a salary and a doctor with a in his own practice, even if they're getting the same revenue, the guy with the self-employed can write off a lot of expenses, his cell phone, his car, and stuff like that. Of course, as the more you go to the I, you can do a lot of more stuff. But overall, it helped me see that there are four different categories. So I said, you know what? The I, that's it. What should I do? There are three different ways: real estate, stocks, and owning your own business. So I started with real estate, took a lot of courses, did a lot of mistakes. I did very well after I honed, because here's the thing, if nobody really taught you in your family, you have to go through a phase of trial and error. And that's the steps for success. And if you're not willing to fail, if you don't fail enough, I can guarantee you'll never see success because nobody does it the first time and hits the lottery. Did the same thing with stocks. I had this very hardline view that responsible investors are real estate investors. If anybody's dabbling with the stock market, they're gamblers. They're not responsible. Till I educated myself and understood why people are losing money. And it's really simple not to lose money. Tell you the truth, like if you're with some guidelines. So this is where I went into stocks and I saw the need because there's not a lot of education that gives comprehensive view and A lot of out there is get rich quick schemes. Come to me and do day trading, and you're gonna get $100,000 in 2 months. It's all just BS because it never happened. So I saw a need to have responsible education, responsible investing, and that's how I launched my Legacy Wealth Builder Academy. And anyway, I'm sure we'll talk more about it, but the need there for mentorship, whereby you're holding hands and making sure that people are doing the right thing in a way that it's zero risk, because we trade in paper trading account with zero risk on the person, so that they can make mistakes and learn, so that when they go and put their own money, they're not at risk. They know what they're doing. They already made the mistakes. They learn. So that's kind of in a quickie the story, my story.
I love it. Yeah, and yeah, similar to you, like I don't come from a, wealthy family, so what I did was trial and error, with someone else, try to do a couple things on my own, and real estate didn't work out, and I seek the help of mentorship and guidance, and thanks to that, then I finally got on track, and I actually wrote a book about it. So
Nice.
so I
What's
know
the name of your book?
Deal Maker, How to Raise Unlimited Capital for Your Deals. That's the one I was telling you about.
Okay,
Came
nice,
out a few
nice.
weeks ago. Yeah, yep, 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 yep. So I know all about it, man.
Congrats.
No, thank you, man. Thank you. So tell me a little bit more about the curriculum. Like, walk me through someone, like, let's say they say, hey, Fadi, I'm interested in, investing in the market. Like, how does that look like? Tell us how that looks like.
Okay, I want to start by talking about a little bit of myths, just to have a little bit of paradigm shift before I go into the pro. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
So a lot of misconceptions out there, because the stock market is mainly used by most people as a casino. Okay, it's not meant to be. So let me explain. If you buy a stock because your friend told you that this is a good stock, that's gambling, because you have no idea what is this stock about. If you think that the stock market is a way to make money very quickly, you're a gambler too. And I'm not saying this in bad word, because at some point of time I was a gambler. That's why everybody's losing money. So a couple of things. Number one, we're not buying lottery tickets. The stock market is a market for what? Stocks. And what are stocks? Stocks are businesses. So if you're a real estate investor, you will not buy a condo because your friend told you this is a good investment. You're going to be asking yourself some intelligent questions like, how much is the rent there? How much is the rate of the mortgage, the interest? What are all the expenses? Is it cash flowing? What is the appreciation here? You're going to be looking at it from a business point of view if this is a good investment. So this is exactly what we need to do when we talk about stocks. Because we're buying a business, not a lottery ticket. If you're buying a share of Apple, you're actually a partner in Apple. You're buying a part of Apple. Before you do that, you need to figure out if Apple is a good business, right? So people need to understand how to evaluate a stock. What makes a stock a good business? Okay. A business cannot be a good business if it is not making money, sales, and earnings. I don't care how sexy are the products. If they are not making earnings, it's not a good business. So I would buy the product. For example, BlackBerry, and I used to work there. They're not making money. If you look at their income statement, very simple, very simple. You can see that it's negative earnings. It's not a good business. It's not an investable business. There's like 6,000 stocks. And it's very easy to figure out what is the top 1%, right? Because I think I made a small study. 20% of the companies in 10-year period, they disappear from the S&P because they get either thrown out because they're not performing, or they get consumed by other companies. 30% have negative earnings. So that's not even investable. Another 30%, the bar of the market, which is, we call it the SPY, which is an ETF. Basically, if you do nothing, I just buy the SPY, you will get about 11% a year. That's the average for the last 100 years. So when you want to invest yourself, your bar is you have to beat this. You have to, because if you're spending any time or effort in it, it has to be more than 11% per year. So 30% of the companies, their performance is less than 11%. So that's 30, 30, and 20. That's like 90%. It adds to 90%. That's 90% of the companies we don't want to invest in. Only 10% of the companies have more than 11%. So we want to look at those companies, and there are simple way to do it with screeners and stuff. So it's not like hours of research. But the same real estate investor who asks all these intelligent questions, for some reason, when they go to the stock market, they forget all of that and they just buy because of, look, Tesla went up. So that's a myth. Another myth is that you will get rich quickly using the stock market. That's a big myth. That's why a lot of people lose money. Everybody who's telling you about day trading is a very sure way to lose money very quickly, because the reality is, forget about the people who are advertising. It needs tremendous amount of time and tremendous amount of skill. And everybody who's telling you who made $100,000 in 2 days, ask him or her, if he's truthful, how many accounts did they blow up? Because yes, it can happen, but on the other side, the risk is humongous that they actually lost a lot of money to be able to get to this one thing. And it's not repeatable. It's not as easy as you think. So what I specialize in is in busy professionals who are risk averse, who is responsible, they're not addicted to gambling, and they only have 10 to 15 minutes a day to do this thing after they learn. So you're not going to get rich very quickly. It's not a get rich quick scheme. Also, another myth is that people think that the stock market needs to go up all the time. That's not a normal behavior of the stock market. The normal behavior of the stock market is that it breathes. Inhaling goes up, and then exhale goes down a little bit, and then inhales again. If you think that life is all about inhaling, when exhaling happens, you will think that there's something wrong. You will think that you need to go to a doctor. But you're mistaken. You're not educated about this. So having a little bit of exhaling or the market going down is very healthy. It's very normal. We know the statistics. 3 times a year, it's going to go down by 5%. Once a year is going to go to 10% down. Every year and a half, 20%. Every 2 years, 30%. So that's normal. There is nothing wrong about it. In fact, if you know what's happening, it gives you great opportunity. Another myth, and I'll stop there because there's so many, is that the price of the stock and the value of the stock are completely disassociated from each other in the short term. So short term in stock market means 2 years. What does this mean? A really good stock meaning good stock, have earnings really good, not a lot of debt, and they're making more money, and you will see that the price of the stock is going down, versus another stock that is not good. They're losing money and it's going up. Why is that? Because the stock market in the short term is about sentiment, is about what people are feeling. Okay? It's like somebody who's buying a personal house. It has nothing to do with the numbers in terms of the potential of this house making money. It's, I like the area, there's so many flowers, so people can really pay double. It's about feelings. I always tell my students that think of it this way. Somebody who's drunk all night wakes up in the morning and assigns prices to different stocks every day. It has nothing to do with reality. Versus the value and the price of the stock is completely associated with each other on the long term, 5 years plus. What does this mean? A good stock that is making earnings will definitely go up in the long term, even in the short term if there's a lot of havoc. An example of that is Meta. Meta at some point was for $100, went down because of COVID and some other stuff, has nothing to do with the earnings of Meta, to $80. And then a year after went to 700. Meta is a really good stock, but it at some point of time lost 80% of its value. If you don't know that Meta is a good stock, what do most people do? They buy at most people in the stock market. They buy at the top, they wait till it goes down, and then they sell at the bottom. So if you don't know that Meta is a good stock, a lot of people who bought at 300 or 350 will sell at 80 because they are panicky. They don't know. Of course, these people, if they waited a year, it would have been 700. So versus the educated person that knows that Meta is a good stock, what will they do when it goes down to 80? They will buy because they know it's a good stock and they know the behavior of the stock market, that it goes up and down, but in the long term, good stocks will go up. So it needs a bit of paradigm shift to get people washed away from the gambling mentality and the lottery thinking to we're actually buying businesses. So we're going to ask intelligent questions. We're going to have our own list of 10, 15. That's all what we need, 10, 15 good stocks. And we will capitalize on understanding that the stock market, the prices are disassociated. It's a huge opportunity from the value. If we know the value, and I teach people how to know the value, once it goes down, it's an opportunity. I also turbocharge the ROI by using options. And options is very risky if you don't know what you're doing. So you need to proper education. And for me, it's mandated that in the 3 months mentorship that I do, you have to start with paper trading account because that's the responsible thing to do. And you only go to live trading when you prove to yourself that you can make money in the paper trading account. Because if you don't make money in the paper trading account, what does this mean? Either the person who taught you doesn't know what they're doing, or the strategy is not correct, or you're making mistakes, or you don't understand. You need to fix this stuff in the paper trading account without losing any. Paper trading account is an account where they give you $1 million. It's free to open. $1 million monopoly money for you to trade. So there's no risk, absolutely no risk on you. So my program basically is called the growth system, and it starts with correct goal setting. If your goal is to make $100,000 in 2 days, what will you do? Because of the wrong goal, you will be pushing yourself to do stuff that is extremely risky to get this high ROI. Like if somebody is so fixated on that, they will go and buy, let's say if they have $10,000, they will go and buy lottery tickets with that because that's the only way to get them to 100,000 in 2 days. If my objective is to go from Toronto here to Mexico in 6 hours, though it should take 2 days of driving, if this is my goal, I will have to drive at 600 kilometers per hour in order to get to Mexico. And if this is my goal, and if I'm doing that, it's just a matter of time for me to be involved in an accident. Okay. So right goal is very important. For me, right goal is 24%. That's double the market. That's totally enough. And if you're chasing 100% ROI every 2 months or every year, you will pay the price because there is risk. You cannot disassociate risk and ROI. If you have high ROI expectations, be careful because this comes with a baggage of risk. So setting people to have the right goal, that's number one. Number two is researching stocks. So I have a simple method of figuring out what is a good stock. So that's the second part, is to have your own list of good stocks. Third is understanding options. Options is Chinese for people in the beginning because it's not known and it has its own language. So understanding that, eliminating all the bugs and the errors in the paper trading so that you're completely familiar with it. I've seen people, they talk to me. Sometimes, like one person told me they lost $10,000 because before they come to me, they clicked on the wrong button. If they're doing paper trading, that would not have happened, right? Because they would have. Anyway, people like to like, they think it's a lottery ticket. They think it's a slot machine. Anyway, and then after that, you have to implement and train in a paper trading account because if you have all the theory in the world, if you read all the books about riding horses, guess what? You will never be able to ride horses just by reading, right? You need to step into the stable, jump on a horse, get somebody to help you with doing it correctly without falling down, getting the horse to kill you, because it can happen if you don't know what you're doing. So implementation is very important. And then psychology. Psychology is very important, that you have to understand how people lose money. Risk mitigation is extremely important. Much more important than making money is how not to lose money. That's what we learned from Warren Buffett. So you need to study. If you spend 1 hour in trying to figure out the strategy, for me, strategy is about 10% of the game. 30% is risk mitigation. Understanding that you cannot trust that you will not lose money. You need to study how other people are losing money in the same position so that you can risk mitigate it. And last thing is psychology. Making sure that our biggest issue in investing is not really the market, it's our greed. And people need to understand that it's not the market against them, it's them against themselves. So greed, looking at it objectively. So that's the system. It's a growth system. It's a 12-week mentorship program where we meet once a week and everybody has to share their screen, share their trade. So it's not theory. It's not that I'm just giving theory. You have to do something, do the homework. And this is how people really value the most, is the fact that they can share their trades and we'll look about it. And then I ask them, I think there's something wrong here. Can you tell me what it is? And everybody's thinking, what is the wrong thing? Okay, what could you have done there? What actions you should do right now? Should you do nothing? Should you wait? Should you close it? So all of this stuff gets tremendous value. And people, by the end of the 8th week and the 12th week, they're pushing me to, let's go to live trading. And I'm saying, just wait, because you need to take it slow. So that's in a nutshell the program.
I love it. Sounds like a great program. Just wanted to follow up on something. So, for those in my audience who, for whatever reason or not, familiar with what an option is. Can you define what an option is as opposed to buying a common stock?
Yeah, the word option, yeah, good question. Sorry, I didn't explain that. The word option is basically gives you the feeling that you have an option to do action A or B. Okay. So basically, if I'm with you and I tell you, listen, I want to have the option with you that in the next month, uh, if I have any business idea and I need to talk to someone, I want to have the option of calling you and sharing that with you, um, and you give me your opinion, okay? And because I'm gonna buy this option, I'm gonna give you $100. So I'm gonna pay you $100 now for the right of, at any point of time in the next month, I will, if I have an idea, I will call you to get your opinion on it. So that's an option. It's basically there's always a buyer of the option. In this example, I'm the buyer, and you're the seller of the option. You sold me the option of calling you at any time. So with this transaction, it's an option. It's kind of a put option or a call option. And the buyer will have the right to exercise it or not. I can call or I not call. It's like up to me. You're the seller will have the obligation to do what we agreed to, which is if I call you, you got to pick up the phone. That's what we agreed on. So by doing that, there's a lot of advantages. There's a lot of risks. So you need to know what you're doing. But it's a great way if you structure it correctly with not a lot of risk that you can make a lot of it's very lucrative actually in a way, but the whole idea here is to strike the right ROI risk balance, because if you just look at the ROI, it's a deadly trap, and a lot of people go through that. But you need to look at the ROI risk and figure out the right risk for you, which my risk might be different than yours, depends on the capital, depends on where I'm, my age, and all of this stuff.
I love that. Thank you for that definition. Um, taking a macro approach now, I'm zooming out a little bit. So
Yeah.
we're living in interesting times. Obviously, this is recorded in 2025, right? Or middle 2025. So you have the interest rates, you have inflation, tariffs, especially here in the US, right? So how does your program kind of help mitigate that or go or help with that? I guess you have your student go and look at the best stocks or look at the best program. Tell me a little bit about that.
Okay, so all of these stuff is actually I don't need to mitigate anything. Let me explain what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that
Sure.
understanding the stock behavior, the stock market behavior, stock market overall, because it depends on the innovation of the American companies, which they're tremendously successful. Look at all the innovations that we get. The stock market will go up. The business and the stock market will go up because the businesses are having more earnings. The businesses are doing well because remember, it doesn't depend on the tariffs. It depends on how much the earnings. That's the root thing. Okay. Everybody's talking about what's happening with the wars and the tariffs and the Middle East war and the Gaza thing and the Ukraine. But really, let's just take one step back. It depends on the earnings of the companies. That's the main thing. That's the long-term thing that we're looking at. The short term, you need to understand that the market will find something, some reason to correct. If it was not the tariffs, it would have been the war on Gaza. If it was not war on Gaza, it's the Ukraine war. It's the Trump election. So I know that even if the tariffs was not there, the market, because it has been going up for 2 years, it needs to correct. I don't care about the reason, right? All what I know is that I know at some point it's going to correct. I don't time the market, but it's okay to correct. And when it corrects, what happens? It's good for me because now I need to buy. So here's the thing. Understanding because everybody is looking at it differently, and the whole media is like, things are like falling apart. By the way, every year there'll be something for the stock market to fall apart. That's what they think. It's not falling apart. It's just correcting, you guys. Like I tell my students, if I know that a kilo of tomato is $5, and I go to the market right now and it's $2, I'm not going to panic. I'm not going to go to my house, get the tomatoes and sell it at $2. It's just a quote. If this is the case, I would just go buy more tomatoes because I know the value is 5. So if we're picking good stocks, we don't care. It's a really wrong statement to say, but it's the fact that there's COVID doesn't really affect the Meta earnings, right? Right? It doesn't. Meta is still a good company.
Exactly.
And if the price goes down, it's good for me. It's good for me. I'm not panicky, even if I have Meta stocks. I will just be thinking, how can I load on Meta if it is now 20% of what it was a year ago, right? Knowing that it's a good stock, we know from Peter Lynch that there's 100% correlation between the price and the value of the stock on the long term. It's a good stock, it's going to go up. So I think for me, it's made about two things. It's about understanding the correct behavior of the market, not the correct behavior, the normal behavior of the market. When you understand that your dog will run a little bit and then it will stop because it needs to cool down a little bit, that's normal. Expecting the dog to be running all the time or the horse to be running all the time without stopping to cool down a little bit, then you have a wrong expectation. So understanding the right behavior makes people calm. Okay, just correcting, it's okay. And for all the corrections that happened the last 100 years, it went up again. Like we know that. So that's number one. Number two, risk mitigation. Knowing that the market goes down, we cannot be in positions whereby when it goes down, we wipe our account. So which means a lot of things. It's technical, no margin, a lot of other stuff that I teach. But the idea here is that if I know this will happen, if I know the market sometimes goes down by 30, 35%, I need to be prepared that this can happen anytime. I am not timing the market. I don't have time to time the market. And if I need to time the market, I will be living in stress. Your investment, you need to be sleeping like a baby. You need to be doing stuff that you're totally convinced that it doesn't matter if the market goes up or down tomorrow or in a month or a year, you're good because your strategy is sound. Okay. So how do I equip my students? By educating them that it doesn't matter that there's tariffs. It's going to come and go. Same as all the wars before. We went through 2 world wars, a lot of the market, because it depends on businesses that are really good and there's a lot of innovation and companies are making money much faster these days, it's going to go up. All what we need to do is focus on the right things. Forget about what's happening in the news. We need to pick good stocks. Forget about the get rich quick schemes. We need to figure out how to risk mitigate. Okay. And if we have a strategy, then everything else that we talked about, like tariffs and wars and stuff, is noise compared to what I'm doing. Right. So if I am studying for an exam in engineering, I don't care if there's a war on Gaza. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying I don't care. I'm just saying that, yes, there is a war on Gaza. It's sad, but I'm going to go to the exam. Like, it's not like the life is not disintegrating if there's tariffs. I'm still going to go to the exam. I'm still going to take my kid to school, right? Because I have a plan. So understand the plan, go with the plan. But life doesn't stop because there's a Ukraine war or a Gaza war or tariffs or COVID. Like you need to have a plan and differentiate between the noise and what you need to do.
It makes a lot of sense, brother. It kind of reminds me about real estate to an extent, right? Like,
Yeah,
I got approached the same question. Hey, what about the interest rate? What about tariffs? What about this? I was like, dude, I'm on a plan, and it's all about like we're taught as you know, I'm part of a mastermind, so we're taught how to underwrite, and if you underwrite very well, and if you understand your market very well, that's all BS, right? Everything that's on, that's all
exactly. Because
noise.
people still need to rent, right?
Right,
Like
exactly.
high or low, like yeah.
Exactly, exactly. I mean, we're winding down. I enjoyed our conversation, so we're winding down. So, what advice would you give to someone on the fence that it's like kind of like reminds you like that jump rope, want to get in but not quite? What advice would you give to someone that's on the fence of jumping into the market?
So so the fear is that you don't want to lose money, which is a legitimate fear. Like don't lose that. Okay, that's good. However, if your fear is preventing you from doing anything, that is the thing that you need to manage. It has to go with like results. If you want results, not just wishes. If you want results, it has to go with the actions. Your plan, your wishes, your intention, it doesn't really count at all. It's what action are you taking? So what you need to think of this, number one is a paradigm shift that you have to go into investment. You don't have a choice if you want to have any wealth. That's number one. Number two, very important that you don't lose money. So you need to be thinking how is other people losing money here? So if you're going to the stocks, please do not do anything other than in a paper trading account so that you can learn and make mistakes without putting your own money. If you're putting your own money to try, it's a very irresponsible thing to do in my world, right? Because you're gambling here, right? You don't know what you're doing. You need to test. Number three, education. You have to go for education. And there are more than one tier of education. One tier is the free stuff in YouTube. It's good step, but it's not going to be enough. Okay. Think of if you want to ride a horse, and for a lot of people, when I started riding a horse, investment is riding a horse, completely foreign for me. I cannot just ride a horse by reading a lot of books and doing YouTube. It's a good step, but I need to jump into the arena. If you want speed and guidance, mentorship or coaching, another one level is courses. Somebody gives you videos and it's paid, so it's a little bit better than YouTube because they usually divide it into steps to do practical steps. The third level is mentorship. Somebody looking after you, telling you how to do things and looking at your mistakes so that and the pitfalls, the risk mitigation. So three steps: learning for free, paying a little bit for courses, or mentorship. If you want more speed and more speedy time to results, mentorship is the best. But of course, you need to choose properly and risk mitigate. It's not
Right.
about making money; it's about not losing money in the first place.
I agree with 100%. That I you and I are in that same wavelength, right? So a lot of folks look at
Yeah,
my free podcast and all that, right? And then the next step is look, if you can't afford mentorship, at least start with the coaching, with the courses, right? And then like
mm,
DIY. And if you want to like if it's speed, if you really want it like yesterday, then yeah, then seek mentorship. But like you said,
yeah,
seek the right mentorship. There's a lot of quote unquote
yeah.
gurus out there. Just make sure
And
it's the
and I
right one.
understand it's a risk because people
Yep.
are afraid to pay money and not getting the thing.
Right.
But again, in the world of investment and business, there is some risk. So you need to mitigate the risk. You need to choose the right person or right course, right mentorship. But yes, it's a risk, and you need to train yourself that there is a little bit of risk that you need to do. Don't be reckless. Don't go pay money to anybody because a lot of courses out there, the people who are actually telling you about the course are not the people who are teaching it. A lot of people tell me we went and paid X amount of dollars, and then when we went inside the program, the person who are pitching, the famous guy, is not there to be found. He's not there for questions. You need to email them to
Yeah.
get an answer in every after 2 days versus somebody who's in the thing, you're meeting the person who pitched to you in the beginning. So you need to make your own due diligence. But yes, it's a risk, but that's part of actually going to the investment world is that you need to do to get some calculated risks and invest in yourself. That's part of it.
Exactly. Exactly, man. Our time is winding down. We had a fantastic 40 plus minute conversation. I appreciate our time today. Where could people find more information about you or your program?
So my website is called Legacy Wealth Builder Academy. You can email me at info@legacywealthbuilderacademy.com or on YouTube, Fadi Habib, FADI HABIB. I'm also there on Facebook and Instagram. So connect with me on email or LinkedIn or in any social media, and I'll be happy to chat.
Fadi, thank you so much for your time. I had a fantastic conversation and we learned a little bit from each other today. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Fadi Habib, everybody. Hey, Dr. B, hope you enjoyed this limited edition Deals and Dreams pilot. I hope you really enjoyed it. Hope you got some insight. And remember, as Mike Lee would say, you are one big deal away from making it happen. All right, take care.